You know, it has been a little while since we've done a premiere together, and I wanted to do that, wanted to take the time to come in and say hello tonight. I've had a lot of life changes going on, exciting things, good things on the horizon, but it's taken some of my time, so I wanted to get back together tonight and do a premiere, and my goodness, what a story I have to bring you. We are going to be making a trip to a little place, very little place, called Rattlesnake Ridge. And in that cemetery that we are going to is the final resting place of a law enforcement officer of the time back in 1935 that actually lost his life at church. The church stood very near to where we will be going, and we're going to go there together. So let's make our way to Rattlesnake Ridge here in Northeast Kentucky. And great to see you all, great to be back with you. Let's go see what we can find out. Now, we are going to find the final resting place of a man named James Parsons. Now, James Parsons was a constable here in this area of Northeast Kentucky. And back in the day, I mean, I know there's a lot of stereotypes, and a lot of those stereotypes run true. Back in the day, there was a lot of moonshining that happened here. And there was a duo, last name Barker, and the other last name is Mock. And they had heard that the local pastor of this church had been preaching and speaking out against this corn liquor that they were producing, and they wanted to come to the church and voice their displeasure. So rumblings had already been going on in the community that, hey, something's going to happen here. Didn't really know when, but they were making those threats. Well, one service they showed up and the constable was there. Now, he was in his mid to late 60s. He walked on a cane, and he was still constable, and he still held that duty sacred. So yeah, when the troublemakers got there, he went for them, and he was ready for them. And, you know, that's kind of where this story turns tragic. Okay, so we have made it to a small, and I'm guessing this is a small family cemetery, Parsons Cemetery. And a few things before we get in here. One is I'm on top of a hill, and sometimes the wind in Kentucky can even cut through the microphone. So I'm hoping that everything sounds okay, and I will do my best to project my voice here. Something else, we've got a lot of new subscribers here recently, and I want to take a moment to welcome you all. You know, my channel is, mostly it's about history, but I do cemeteries, short documentaries, historic locations, and I bring what I find to you, and I like to try to find the unique. So welcome to all of the new subscribers, and if you have been with me for a while, you all know how much I appreciate you, and thank you all for coming along. Let's go ahead, and if this is your first time watching, please subscribe. That's what we're all about here. We have a good sense of community and like to have a good time. So we're walking in this cemetery, going to try to find this grave, and I'm curious if any of you out there have ever seen the movie Coal Miner's Daughter, about the life of Loretta Lynn. In that movie, one of the characters talks about Kentucky, and that took place probably her life hour and a half from where we stand right now. But there's one line in there, they talk about how things are here, and it says you can either coal mine, moonshine, or move it on down the line. And it seems that some of the options for Kentucky and during those days, and moonshine in this area, you could grow corn here pretty easily during the summertime. And yeah, someone out there figured out how to craft moonshine whiskey and would sell it in this area. And the two men that I was talking about earlier, Barker and Mock, well, that's what they did. They would moonshine. And of course, there was a lot of pushback and things from the community because, you know, normally doesn't lead to good things. So this local pastor had apparently had enough and began preaching about, you know, the moonshining industry, if you will. And those two boys, that was their livelihood, and they didn't like it. So they decided word had been traveling through the community that they were going to show up to this church. And let me go ahead and kind of take a spin around here. The church, according to the newspaper article that I read, and there's not a whole lot about this story, but just enough for me to be able to tell it. The church was close to this area because it says that the crime occurred where this gentleman was buried, near where this gentleman is buried, and that's where we are today. So basically, here's what happened. They showed up at church, and we have found the grave here of James Parsons, and this is his stone. Mr. Parsons was a constable. He walked on a cane. He was getting a little older in years. Well, these guys showed up to this church and started making trouble. He confronts them. At first, they were out there, I'm sure, in a drunken stupor. The perpetrators trying to sell and peddle their goods. Well, they told him to get out. They didn't listen. So Mr. Parsons took matters into his own hands and actually started a foot pursuit. And one of the perpetrators got away, and the other one actually took out a weapon. Now, I'm not going to say what type of weapon it was. I don't want to get this video marked or anything, but took out a weapon and used that weapon on Mr. Parsons. Mr. Parsons makes his way over to the person using the weapon, pulls his cane out, and proceeds to beat him, even wounded. Well, he used the weapon again, and it proved fatal. And from what I read, it caught him either in the heart or just below the heart in 1935, and he was brought here and laid to rest. So it just amazes me. And I know there were good people back in those days, and I think maybe this area is romanticized a little bit about all the southern hospitality and things like that, and there was, but make no mistake, there were some vagrants in the area. I found it a lot in these videos that I do with the research and things like that. But yeah, Mr. Parsons, he took his duty seriously, and I found a website. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was talking about those who had lost their lives in the line of duty. His name was on it. Now, we're coming upon 90 years ago since this happened, so very few people out there would even remember it, if any at all. I found the story in local publications of the day, but on that website, it was saying that, and this is the only thing I could find as far as what happened to the perpetrators of the crime. One of those was sentenced to 10 years. I couldn't find anything on the other. I really couldn't find, I have a pretty good idea, but I really couldn't find exactly what happened to them after this occurred. But based on my research, I found two guys that probably were the perpetrators. And it looks to me like that they went on to live fairly normal lives. And the justice system was a lot different then as it is now. And I don't even know if one even got sentenced at all. I think the one that actually used the weapon, I believe he's the one that got 10 years. And who knows if he even served all that, I don't know. But we do want to honor Mr. Parsons today. Officer Parsons, he was a constable here in this area. And, in his mind, he was taking up for the community and defending the church. And it was clear that the two men that showed up that day, two young men, they were barely adults. They were there looking for trouble. They didn't like what this preacher was saying. And they were there just to cause trouble, and that's exactly what they did. And unfortunately, an innocent life was taken. Someone just trying to defend the honor of the church and of the community. But Mr. Parsons, we want to honor you today. And you'll see, I don't know how well you can see that. J.F. Parsons, born February 19th. I'm thinking that's 18, It's 18 something. It's kind of faded. Died July 28th, 1935. Safe in the arms of Jesus, so his faith is reflected on his stone. There's other Parsons in here. Actually, I see someone with the last name Salmons up there. That was my grandfather's last name, and I do know that we have family history to this area somewhat. So I'm guessing that's probably someone that's related to me in some fashion. But yeah, just these little family cemeteries. And you get this a lot in Kentucky. You know, you get these cemeteries that are up on a hill, and you know, I'm sure the thinking was, why waste the good farmland? They just put the cemeteries up on these hills. But you can see these thick Kentucky woods, this forest. And if you get out into the primitive and the undeveloped places, now you get a lot of this. Kentucky's a beautiful state. Yeah, I think it gets looked over as far as the beauty goes, but it's a pretty place. This is a very peaceful cemetery. You can hear, I mean, there's really not been a lot of noise. And there's been one car that's passed since I've been here, so it's a beautiful place, and just wanted to pay our respects to Mr. Parsons. I hope you all enjoyed the video and enjoyed the story. Again, to all of our new subscribers, welcome. We're fastly approaching 75,000, and I really can't wait to get to 100,000. That's a goal that I have set. And you know, share my page, share my videos with someone, especially if they like history and cemeteries and short documentaries and things like that. I try to find things that are interesting and bring those to you, but all under the umbrella of history. So I wanted to make this one the premiere. We haven't had a premiere in a while. And I wanted to get back with you and say hello and let you know that we have got a lot of good things on the horizon here on the channel. So thank you all so much for watching. Let's take another look at this very beautiful location here in Northeast Kentucky, just outside of Grayson, on a little stretch of road called Rattlesnake Ridge. And once again, from Northeast Kentucky, at the grave of hero James Parsons on Rattlesnake Ridge, I will see you again soon.